I live here my life. I stay strong, I stay wise. I live here my life. I stay strong, I stay wise. I live here my life. While we wait.
Hello, what an awesome day it is. I'm Patrice Bryant, and I'm the host of While We Wait. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. Today is a great day. It's always a great day to be alive. I was just thinking about the word wait, and I did a little bit of looking up, nothing in depth, but I started just looking because I believe a lot of times people think that wait or waiting is the same thing as being stagnant. And this actually will segue wonderfully into our topic for today, which is unstuck, how to get out of your own way. Well, to wait is actually a verb. We just don't think about it. When you think wait, you think stop. It is a delay, but that doesn't mean that you are stagnant. To wait, there when you're waiting, something's still happening. Stagnant is showing no activity. So that's what we want to talk about today. Okay, we want to get unstuck because sometimes life just happens without permission, even. It happens. So I have a wonderful dear friend that I met just a little while ago, but we just connect. She's just a well of inspiration. And that's what While We Wait is all about. While We Wait is a platform to inspire, to motivate, and to empower. So today, we're hoping that we're going to do all of those things. And this is just a conversation we're going to have. I want to thank everyone for coming on last week, where we had the three maestros and the two sopranos, myself being one and my vocal coach being the other. I've gone back and watched that YouTube video at least 3 or 4 times because there was so much information. Um, it was just great. Talent is never enough, and that also is great for bringing us into where we are. And then the week before that was my birthday, but before that it was discipline. So you can kind of see a thread coming all the way up to right where we are right now. Um, Talent is never enough. And then next week is we'll be talking about how we label or how we mislabel ourselves. It's going to be a great session, and I'm going to have some friends. We're just going to come on and just chit chat. So please tune in at 4:30. You know where on While We Wait right here. So welcome again, viewers. Thank you. I see you coming in. Come on in. I'm going to bring on Lisa Zawrotny. She is a return guest. And Lisa, here you go. How are you?
Hello, I am delighted to be back. You know,
Oh
I
my
love
goodness.
talking to you.
Listen, I feel the same way. And Lisa has a podcast, and all of her guests, you can just like spend like a whole day or better or more and just keep listening and keep listening and keep listening because it's so inspirational. So tell us the name of your podcast, Lisa.
Oh, thank you for asking. It's Positively Living. It's a
Wonderful.
play off of my business name, Positively Productive. And it's really our intention. When you listen to this, you are seeking a way to be positively living. And that
Yes.
means thriving. It means really doing less, living more, and breathing easier.
And that's great. And it's something that we should all aspire to because believe it or not, and I'm certain you know in your field that there are people that really don't believe that they can live a thriving life.
Hmm.
And it brings us right to that word, being stuck.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can get stuck. You can be stuck because something in life happened, or I don't know, life sometimes deals interesting hands, and
Yep.
but we don't have to remain stuck. That is the great news in it. And
Yeah.
it does take work, but it can be done, right, Lisa?
Absolutely. Yes. I'm That's the thing that's so brilliant about so many of the things that happen to us that we consider to be challenging or potentially negative is that so much of what we do, so much of what we live is learned behavior. And the good news is that means another behavior can be learned. The thing
Yes.
that's not serving you can be unlearned and the things that serve you can be learned. And that is so encouraging.
with what you just said, we have learned. I have some friends that if they're not on, they'll be on or they'll watch it another time. We have learned to learn, unlearn, and then relearn. And I,
Yes.
and I forgot who said that. It is a quote that we have gotten that in our teachings. But you have to unlearn those things that are not beneficial,
Mhm.
and then relearn the new intel. Because if we keep doing the same thing and we're not getting those results, we know what that's called, right?
Yeah, yeah. Einstein said it's insanity, baby.
Okay. All right. So Lisa, you just had a birthday. I just had a birthday. We're
Yeah.
April babies. I
Yes,
love
we are.
April babies. April babies are wonderful.
Woo.
So we talked a little bit backstage. Tell me a little bit about some of the interesting things that you did for your birthday. I am so interested.
Well, I was on a podcast about podcasts, which is wonderful. And you know what it is? And I think this is a beautiful segue into part of what we want to take with us today is we talk about birthdays and we talk about celebrating, right?
Mhm,
We're
mhm.
celebrating ourselves. Other people are celebrating us. And it's encouraged on that day. I would encourage you to do it the other 364. Celebrate what you do. And one of the things I got to do is be on this other podcast. And she was like, you realize you're top 10% podcast, right? And it's like in the nation, it's on listen notes. And I was like, I thought I saw something about that, but it was wonderful to have someone else acknowledge where I've come. I just hit a milestone over 5,000 downloads since the beginning.
Wow.
And that's last June. So we haven't even got to the anniversary. And it was just one example of, being able to celebrate what we're doing, what we're achieving, and a reminder to stop and do that. We were so often focused on what's the next thing, what's the next thing. And I feel like that was an opportunity for me to celebrate where I was, to relax, to play some music. I've been working on my guitar,
Wonderful.
and teaching myself that and spending time with family and, eating some good ice cream. Yeah, it was just
Yes, those wonderful things.
simple things, but those can be the best, right?
That is true. That is true. I often say we really don't think about how really rich we are,
Mm.
rich in love, rich in relationships,
And in
and
health, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful for my
that's
health.
that's mega. That is so huge. That is so huge. So here we are. Here we are.
Mm.
I'm really excited about this, and I am able to go back and listen to the different people that have had to come on, and there's so much to glean. There's so much to draw from, and I believe. And then it's so funny because I ask people to, and my viewers, please, if you have a question or comment, please put it in the comment section because I want to hear from you. We will bring you into this conversation.
Mhm.
I get a lot of feedback, and I'm like, okay, but could you put it on? I want to see it here, because people are really interested, and people are looking for ways to make their lives better, and especially during this time. This is such an interesting time. There's so much going on with social injustice, with the pandemic, with people's personal lives. There's just so much, and I believe just to have something positive or a positive lifestyle, it gives you something else to focus on, like
Mm.
what, and you have to focus on what is good, the positive, because otherwise, I don't. And I know we talked about this the last time, but I didn't even watch the trial. That it was just too much. There was on the news. I don't watch a lot of news. I kind of skim it just to find out what's going on in the world real quick, and then I get off. But there's just so much, and you can just really wear yourself out. Now, this is interesting. Something that I've just started doing. Um, I sleep very well. I can go to sleep at the drop of a hat. But I have added to my sleep regimen listening to sleep therapy music. Uh-oh, there you go. I thought you left me.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I'm back.
I was like, it looks like her picture's stuck, but I don't know if she's focusing or not.
Was it a face like this? Invariably, that happens.
So
Speaking of being stuck.
I was saying that I have added I have a sleep regimen now, and I sleep
Mhm.
very well. But you can sleep and really recharge yourself.
Yeah,
And so, right when your picture froze, I was talking about not watching so much of the news, and I know we talked about that when you were on before.
that's right.
And but I have really found a way to recharge. There's candles that you can put on, but I do a candle or a diffuser. I drink chamomile tea and put drops of ashwagandha. That's not Wakanda. That's ashwagandha. I put it in my chamomile tea,
Mhm.
and I sleep with sleep therapy music. I decided to, normally it's the sound of rain.
Mhm.
I found that they have classical music with the rain. So I have to tell you, at all of this week, I think I just started that Monday. I've been waking up like, I feel good. So it's just whatever it takes to just recharge yourself, because every day we're going to be faced with whatever. So
That's
you
right.
want
And
you want
that's
to put
stress
your
management right
thank
there that you
you.
talked about, right? And it's so, so important.
It is.
And it's finding ways that really nourish and recharge you truly. And you're right, there can be this misconception that you're like, well, I slept. And it's like, but how did you sleep? And paying attention to, it's referred to as sleep hygiene, but in paying attention
Oh,
to your
thank you.
environment, taking stock of your actual physical environment, considering things like temperature, darkness, being able to signal and cue your body that it's time to relax. The things that you were suggesting, all excellent. And you can play with it and figure out what makes you happy. I sleep with a fan year round.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Like,
but it works because I really like the white noise and I like the non-specific white noise. And that's the key takeaway. This is what I coach no matter what. And of course, sleep and productivity are like peanut butter and jelly. Okay.
wow.
That you absolutely, need to find the ways that work for you to recharge you. And maybe you are a napper, you know what I mean? That's good too. It's making sure that your energy is optimized.
Yes. Sleep hygiene. Now I know. Now I
Yeah.
can do some more research about it. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize what I was doing, but I know I felt great. And
Good.
tomorrow I embark on my journey of a new journey of acupuncture.
Ooh.
So I'll keep everybody posted about that.
Excellent. Another tool
Yes,
in the toolbox of
absolutely.
wellness.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's get started,
Mhm.
Lisa. As we stated, it is so easy to get stuck, or you can not even know that you're stuck, but there's something going on or not going on, and then life can happen. And even within this time right now, people are itching to get out. People are itching to travel, and some are. Some people are making unwise choices because they just, I need to do something. And you can, and it's interesting that you can go and do things, but if you're stuck, you have just relocated your physical self and not your inner self, and really done the true work. So let's talk about being unstuck and how to get out of your own way. Talk to us. Talk to us.
Okay. So I think we want to clarify
Yes,
what that means, right?
absolutely.
To
Common
be
language.
to be unstuck, or maybe the easiest way to clarify it might also be, what are the signs? What are we looking for? How could we tell that we're stuck?
That's good.
My first inclination would be to say to you, are you procrastinating? Right?
Ah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and that's a big old word.
Yes, it is. It's when I was promoting this, that's one of the things I said is procrastination. Are you paralyzed? And I talked about yes, yes, yes. So that's a good one. So that's one of the signs.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start with procrastination and talk about why, because I think that will interweave into this whole discussion. And, that's the thing, is that you find certain clues and then you're like, aha, when you dig deeper, when you're doing something, it's not out of nowhere. There's a reason behind it. And let's, by the way, as we do this, or if something seems familiar, let's go with it with some grace and some self-compassion here. Be curious. When you're curious, like, I wonder why I'm doing that. I wonder why I'm literally like saying what's on Netflix instead of doing that thing I meant to do. Like, because we all do it, right? It's so
Absolutely.
human nature. Let's give ourselves some grace and some compassion and understand that if we stay curious, we leave the judgment out of it. And that means that we can troubleshoot better and we can figure out how to make the changes we want to make. So just wanted to put that out there first so that we don't go through this list and then you're sitting there like, oh, I do literally all of those things, Lisa.
Oh,
Like it's okay. So reasons why we procrastinate. And of course, we know what the procrastination is, right? That we're putting things off.
yeah.
And sometimes it's not a huge deal. Sometimes you just need a break, but other times there might be, a concerning reason. So perfectionism is a big one, right?
Wow. Wow.
Okay. And that's including fear of failure and criticism.
That's good.
So perfectionism, fear of failure, criticism, that connects to self-worth. Do we feel like it's the whole is good enough? And unfortunately, sometimes in society, we have a lot of messages that come at us from everywhere, from companies, those who want us to consume things, give us a message that we are not good enough until we have these things. Life won't be good enough until we're doing XYZ. There's a lot of the if-then statements that are kind of put out there subtly in marketing to make us think that we will only be happy when, right?
That is true.
And then along the lines of perfectionism, well, all I will say to you is this. Can you tell me what perfect is?
Negative.
Bingo. Exactly. So think about taking a road trip, okay? And if you do not put a final destination in your GPS or on the map, how are you going to get there? And how are you going to know when it's complete, right? You can't check off a task on your task list if you don't know what that task being complete looks like.
That's so true.
So perfection, there isn't a spot. There's not a point on the map. It's not a thing. It's not attainable. So you're
setting yourself up for failure.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it's not real failure. It's perceived failure because you're like, well, it needs to be this, except I can't tell you what this is. I just need to know. I need you to know that it needs to be, perfect. And it's like, but what is perfect? And that it's an endless kind of negative feedback loop there. So when you stop and you step back and you're like, I can't even identify what that is, you can start to let go of it.
And that is stuck because you're literally spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
Going nowhere.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's self-defeating. Now, sometimes you truly want something to be just so, and it matters. And that's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. Other times it comes from this place of self-sabotage, because if you don't do it, then the next thing won't have to happen, whatever that is. And the weirdest thing is that can actually be a fear of success, not a fear of failure.
Okay.
Right. We can tell ourselves some incredible stories, can't we?
That can make them up really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the stories. Sit back. Have some tea and cookies. Let me tell you some stories. Yeah. So we have these stories that we tell ourselves about what success might look like. And then we think, oh, I don't want that. The good news is when you step back and you say, wait a minute, I'm designing my life here.
And that is so
I get to choose, right?
That's so good because you can be determining success by someone else's life or standards or whatever their assignment is. And you have no idea, but yeah. And then you can so feel like you're so unqualified or, not good enough or wow.
Yeah, that's the imposter syndrome sneaking in. That's the, right? Imposter syndrome is like the technical term, but it's this feeling of when you hear, even in your own mind, whether you've actually uttered the phrase or not, when you hear the, well, who am I to be fill in the blank? Who am I to be sharing this information? Who am I to be doing this thing? Who am I to be leading these people?
Mhm.
You know, when that phrase comes up, that's imposter syndrome. And
Wow.
everyone has it. Think about
Oh,
the
absolutely.
most amazing, most famous, most incredible, most successful leaders you know, and I promise you, every single one of them will tell you they've experienced it too.
Wow, wow. Oh, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. I know even to be on this platform, and I've just gotten started a little while ago. Sometimes I'm like, well, who am I? But then there's another drive that says people need to hear it, and then you get the positive feedback, and you're like, okay, well, good, because I don't want to stop.
Yeah, as long as you keep listening to your grandmother's voice, right?
Oh, exactly, exactly. That is
Yeah.
so true. That is
Yeah.
so true.
So it's trusting in yourself, and it's saying, who am I not to, right? It's like, why not give it a chance? Because I'll tell you, someone somewhere needs to hear the words that you have to share. They need to hear your message. They need to know that they're not alone. And
Mhm.
one of my favorite, I guess, tips to offer, if you are taking a point of leadership, if you are coaching or helping or doing whatever it is in service to others, and you're concerned about how much you know and how capable you are,
Mhm.
you need only be a step or two ahead of someone to reach out, lend them a hand, and help them through whatever they're going through. You
That's
don't
good.
have to be far ahead. As a matter of fact, the further ahead you are, it's not necessarily that good. When you are closer to the issue and closer to having solved the problems and
Mhm.
overcome the challenges, you are in the best possible place to help others do the same.
So I've conquered, so I can help you conquer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, so those are some like big ticket items of procrastination. But I have a list here. A disconnect with future self. Oh, I love that one. Yeah, future Lisa. I'm not taking care of future Lisa. Lisa right now wants to hang out and do stuff. So when you start to think of yourself as one being, not like separated because that's tomorrow, but you
Mhm.
start to connect with yourself in all times, so to speak,
Mhm.
then you want to take care of you, set yourself up for success. So
Yes.
the night before, when you're like, I don't have to make those notes or print out that paper or prep this thing or do the
Yeah.
whatever, when you're thinking that, you could say, oh no, but future Lisa's really going to appreciate it when she wakes up tomorrow morning and this is all set and ready to go. And so it's like it's partly thinking ahead and partly taking care of you.
That is so good. And you're absolutely right because, you know, I determine on, okay, am I going to do this tonight or tomorrow? But the way you put it now is it's humorous, but it's so true. If I go ahead and push to do it, then I'm like, oh, yes, so glad I did that. So yes, you're
Yes. Yeah.
absolutely
My,
right.
my husband and I have a whole joking thing, is he's like, yeah, nighttime Jeff is a real jerk. Like, 'cause he's like, I don't know what he was
Oh,
thinking staying up so late watching TV, but
oh my
so
goodness.
yeah, think about it in that humorous way, but
I
in a
like
way
that.
of you're taking care of yourself.
I
All
like
right.
that.
So then some other reasons, task aversion, decision fatigue, lack of energy,
Mhm.
insufficiently defined goals. Those are some of the more technical things. And we kind of talked about that, is that if you don't know what it means for something to be complete, then again, it's that same idea as with perfection of the, lacking like an endpoint in the GPS.
Mhm.
You don't
Mhm.
know what that means. So then you don't know what it is. And that can actually, I think, create task aversion. It can make you like, I don't even know what's expected.
Oh my
I don't have
goodness.
clarity. Right.
Squander. Who am I? Why am I here?
You're like, I don't know, want to listen to Deepak Chopra and eat some snacks. I mean, it's like, yeah, what am I doing with my life? So
Oh,
yeah, and things around lack of energy and decision fatigue, those are real things
yes.
that I think if we are trying to do some kind of task, if we are trying to move forward, if we are trying to achieve a goal, and this really fits in with that, you're feeling stuck and you're like, I want to start, I don't know, exercising, moving my body more. But now I'm like, which way do I do it? And there's so many choices in our world. This is where that information overload issue comes in, and why I often suggest that we we block out a bit of the information that comes in. Maybe don't subscribe to every single exercise channel there is. Do you know what I mean? And here's another key component to all of this, is that so many times we outsource our decisions and our values. We put them out to others when we need to be turning inward. Because if you stop for a moment and think about it, here's an exercise right now. I'm just thinking of it off the cuff. And it's like, if you stop to think about what it is that you want to do, whether it's you want to exercise again, or, whatever kind of goal or task that you have, and you're feeling that fatigue because there's so many options and you don't know which way to go. I want you to sit quietly with yourself, take a deep breath, and think, what's something about that I love? What's something that's fun, that's joyous? And let it come to you, and then explore that avenue instead of all the avenues. And right. And I call that filtering. It's like when you declutter, right? You figure out what belongs in the space, what doesn't. And it's the same thing with making these decisions to move forward on something that you've wanted to do, and you feel frozen because there's just too many choices.
And yeah, I just stopped to think. I had to call Agency on Aging just to get some information. Now, I was very, very happy about the woman that I got, because sometimes you can get conflicting information.
Yeah.
She gave me a lot of information. And I I literally just, when I got the phone, I was like, okay, and you really have to digest it and, make a list, and just really one thing at a time, even prioritize, okay, what needs to be done first. I did discuss it with my son, because sometimes you just, I'm like, ugh. So you do have to digest it, take it all in, but it was a lot of information. So I totally get that piece of it. I was on overload, because I was like, okay, thank you very much. Whew. So
it's so good that you acknowledged that too, and that's a key thing about really appreciating who we are and unapologetically showing up with whatever limits we have, because we are all different. Some of us can be like, bring on the information, the more the better. And others are like, you just gave me 3 options and I can't even remember what the first 2 were that you said. And I'm utterly overwhelmed and I'm checking out now. Did you notice the glazed look in my eyeballs? Okay.
Exactly.
So, you start to learn what it is that you can handle and learn the signs. And it sort of goes with that feeling of stuckness, or that procrastination, or the glazing over, or the avoidance. That's another thing that happens, right? It's not just that we're not doing the thing, but you notice we're leaning towards something else that we're doing instead. And there can be like productive procrastination. You ever completely clean your house from top to bottom to keep from doing taxes or something, right?
Oh my God. That's funny.
And that's task aversion, by the way. And that's when you're like, oh, there's something I got to do. But my brain is telling me it sounds horrible. It sounds awful. Nobody wants to do it. Your brain is always like, Patrice, are you sure you want to do that? Because it sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you're like, seriously, brain, stop it. Your brain just wants to protect you. That's all it's trying to do. But it means well, It's like a friend with like too much advice and you're like, I don't know where this is coming from. Bless your heart. But, your brain does that. It wants to protect you. It wants to say, no, we really like automating things. We like things that are easy. We don't want to think too much. And so in order to get past that, you need to be creative. So reducing the scope, meaning making it simpler, right? And not having so many choices. Okay.
Yes.
Another way to overcome task aversion is to make it fun. You have to do that cleaning thing you don't want to do. Blast earth, wind, and fire and make that happen.
Sing a song.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a little
That's
nod to your
good.
choice,
That's
right?
good. Just reframing things or flipping. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Or put it in the context of fun. And then last but not least, make sure that you reward yourself.
Hmm.
I know that especially when we're trying to do something good for us or something positive, and I used exercise and movement and health and well-being as an example because it's a common thing we want to do.
Hmm.
Uh, we like to look at that as saying, well, doing it and achieving it will be its own reward. No. I'm telling you right now, no.
I'm
It's
telling
not its
you.
own reward. It's wonderful. It's amazing. It will be rewarding.
Yes.
But in order to get yourself to do it, to get beyond being stuck, to get beyond procrastinating, it's not its own reward. You do need to reward yourself for that movement, for those baby steps, for creating the habit. And you need to include in that cycle, you have your cue, your action, and your reward. You
Mm.
do need to give yourself something that it's like pets and children, right? We encourage good behavior. You want to do that for yourself too.
So then, example. So you were talking about playing the guitar.
Mhm.
So now that you have gotten to a place that you desired,
Yes.
what would be your reward?
So in the beginning, my reward would be to say, like, I wanted to watch a really funny show with my husband or something like that. It would be so the cue would be the timing. It's like after dinner, right after dinner, I would time the habit and I would set a timer and say 5 minutes or until my fingers were hurting in the very beginning, because sometimes it would have to be, a few minutes less, try a few things and keep it short. That's the habit development part of it. You have to create steps that feel really doable and really easy. And sometimes you're thinking, what's that going to do? I promise you, it
It
will
works.
build the habit and
Yes.
you'll build on it and you want to do more. And so then after that, it would be now I get to sit and watch that funny show or
Hmm.
I don't know, watch something random on YouTube or read something I wanted to read, just do something fun. So those would probably be examples for me. Is I would say, oh, I really want to just cuddle up on the couch and watch another episode of the show we're doing. And then I would say, no, play the guitar first.
Hmm.
Now, honestly, I find that playing the guitar has become my reward for
Yes,
other habits,
I love it. I
which
love
is
it.
wonderful.
It
But
is.
that's the kind of thing that is important in habit development, is keeping the scope small, keeping yourself encouraged, and making sure there's a reward. I know lots of people think food or treats, but it's not that. Sometimes it can be create the habit and then, go do something that you just really enjoy doing. It could be shopping, it could whatever. I mean, it could be something as simple as I need to hop on Amazon and find myself some, new gear for the podcast. And it's like,
I like that.
okay, do this thing first, or
I like
there's
that.
always an opportunity. There are plenty of things you love to do. There's always an opportunity to kind of structure your day in such a way that you take care of the things that you know are going to serve you and move you forward first,
Good stuff. Good
right?
stuff. I love it. Rewards. Love those rewards for the
Yeah,
sacrifices.
exactly. And it's really it's the carrot on the stick to encourage you. So, I mean, that's procrastination in terms of some of the mindset part of it, a
Hmm.
lot of the practical side in terms of moving forward. And I guess what I would want to add is that if you're feeling that stuckness, if you're feeling like, I feel like I can't move, I'm frozen, digging in to figure out why, maybe journaling about it, talking to someone, seeing if one of these reasons is behind it and kind of getting a sense of what it means. Because the other part of this equation that I want to make sure that we all consider is that sometimes it can be an important sign that you're not on the right track.
Mm, gotcha.
You
So,
want to make sure you're in alignment.
yeah. Um, You just said mindset.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in steps of resetting your mindset. We talked about, well, I mentioned learn, unlearn, and relearn. Like,
Hmm.
how do I make that transition from, because we've got to do something, we must intentionally do something different to
Yeah.
get a different result if we are spinning our wheels and stuck. So,
Yep.
and I love talking about this because oftentimes, people say things and they throw it out there, but then you have that other person like me who's saying, okay, but how do you do that?
Hmm. That's a
So
great question. And I love talking about
how?
that. So if we come back to this idea of mindset, if we talk about, this idea of imposter syndrome, perfectionism, things like that, where our minds are kind of messing with us a bit.
Mhm.
One of the things that you brought up already, and I know you know this, so I want to highlight it and bring it out, and we all carry it with us, please, is this idea that what we focus on, we are going to fuel and grow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
So,
just heard that today.
yep.
Energy grows where energy goes. So wherever your focus
Yeah,
goes.
that's right. That's right. Where it goes, it flows. I just love what you focus on, you fuel and you grow. So, first things first, if you're feeling that stuckness, if you're feeling like it's in your mind's messing with you. It's like, who are you to do this? And what's wrong? And we can't, this isn't possible. What's the matter with you? Like whatever is going on in your brain and in your heart, definitely journal it out, talk it out, like call it out. I truly believe that when we speak it, we take away the power because we're like, okay, I'm feeling this way and it's keeping me from doing this thing that I love.
Mm,
So how do I work with it? It's like bringing it out into the light because I really think that when we're quiet about it, we hold it in, our minds will be like, we're having a field day now. Let's grow it even worse. Not only who are you to do this, but you could possibly be the worst person in the world to do this. What are you even thinking? Sit down. You know what I mean? Like, whereas if you say it out loud, sometimes you could be like, oh, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, what, like you can start to debunk it.
mhm.
So you start with that. Then you can find different ways, and it depends upon your situation, but my two favorite ways are in business. Like if I'm feeling this, like I go back to the messages and the sort of the scientific data, the proof that I am able, that I can help, that I do help. I get to look at testimonials now. I get to look at messages, thank you notes, you name it.
Wonderful.
Right? And it's such a beautiful way. And again, I understand that I said before, let's not outsource too much.
Mhm.
But when we're struggling and we're trying to rewire,
Yes.
we have to look for the positive, and that's sort of outside of ourselves because it was something that was given to us. But those thank you notes, those expressions, and appreciation, testimonials, whatever they are, those are gifts to us, and we are so quick to like, woo, move along. What's the next thing? Our brains, again, meaning well, love to do what's called closing task loops. So if I
Mm.
said to you, what'd you do last week? I mean, you could probably come up with a list, but most times the instinct is like, not much. But I bet you if we sat down to a session and I pulled it out of you, you'd have an incredible list of things you accomplished and that you
Oh,
could celebrate, right? So that's another way, looking at all the things you did and reframing it to celebrate, which is exactly what we started talking about in the very beginning. And sometimes you need to rethink what you're celebrating. Did you get up today? Did you shower? Double
yes.
bonus points for that. Thank you very much.
And you were able to do it for yourself.
Right. Did you help someone in any way? Did you send a message to a friend? Were you kind? Did you cook for people? Did you cook for yourself? Did you eat something that really like nourished your whatever? It's like you can find so many reasons to celebrate
That's so true.
you and what you're doing and what you're accomplishing, which then leads to my favorite topic of all, gratitude.
Gratitude. Yes.
Gratitude. To me, that's the thing that can really change it around because now you're exploring all the goodness and what you talked about in terms of like finding the positive in all of
Mhm.
it, no matter what's going on. I describe gratitude, especially when we're really struggling, when we're hurting, and there's a lot of hurt right now.
Yes.
We're all hurting. I'm, it's so difficult to even describe, but there's pain and there's sorrow and there's grief and there's anger, and we're feeling it collectively,
This is so true.
right? We don't,
It's
right?
so true. That's and one of the reasons why I started doing my sleep hygiene,
Yes.
because I didn't even think about the stresses or the pressures that I carry in my body. I'm not
Yeah.
stressed out, but I didn't even think about it. But it can affect you. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. There is a collective grieving going on. It really is. It's just so much.
Yeah. And with that, so I'd love to emphasize, and this is so important, and I do this when I coach gratitude. Gratitude does not deny our hurt.
Mhm.
It does not take it away. It's not saying you don't get to hurt. It's not that at all. It's the healing balm that will help us recover from that pain, to be able to go on, to be able to get unstuck when it hurts and we are feeling, that frozen kind of, devastation. And I like to describe it like when you are sitting by a fire and it's pretty much burnt out, except there are embers there.
Hmm.
And what happens when you stoke them a bit and when you add oxygen and when you tend to them?
Yeah.
The fire burns again, and
Yeah.
that's what gratitude is. So
That's
that's
so
another,
wonderful.
right?
I love how you put that. That is
Thank
so
you.
true.
Yeah.
Ah, love it. Love it. Love it. And with gratitude, it does bring you out. Like it's very hard to stay in I'll say in a funk when
Yeah.
you start thinking about, you know, just start being grateful for things. I mean, and literally, normally every birthday, I literally thank my body.
Mm.
And I call out each parts of my body. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Feet, you have carried me all of these years, and I come on up. And
Yeah.
just grateful. Everything functioning properly. I'm in optimal health. So, yes. Hey, Lady P and Pam, thank you so much for being on. Um, Pam was saying that was a good analogy to fire ember. Yeah, and what Pam, it really was. I was like, wow, yeah. I had to pause for a whole visual in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. And once you start being grateful, or just start counting your blessings, as we say,
Mm-hmm.
you can just really go on and on and on, because there's so much. Because from one second to another second, there's something good happening. So
Absolutely. And the good news is our brains, we need to focus on one thing at a time. Multitasking is debunked. So that means when you are in that moment, when you are in that flow, when you are in that energy of gratitude,
mm,
you won't be feeling the anger and the hurt and all the other you'll be in that moment of gratitude, and that's a beautiful break, a beautiful gift. And you're absolutely right. Might be from Zig Ziglar, actually, but the more, it's either that or Wayne Dyer, but the more that you uh, are grateful for things, the more you find to be grateful for. It
true.
really is this wonderful snowball, or domino effect, if you will, that it keeps growing and growing and growing. And it also becomes easier to tap into that in the future
Mhm.
the more you practice it.
And I'm just thinking, I'm actually going to make that a part of my. I believe I just need to make time, even if it's 2 minutes,
Hmm.
just to sit still and really take it in of gratitude. Because,
Yes.
and now my brain is that way. It is a task for me to, if I'm here, like I can be practicing my piano, and I'll go, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, come back, we are here, because I'm always something else to do, but
Yeah.
I had to bring myself, who's that? Back in the moment,
Come on back, baby.
back in the moment. So yeah, this is good.
Mm.
This is good. Something that I was thinking about, and it's so funny that when you're stuck, or you can be stuck, a lot of times you can come out of it, especially if you start thinking about other people or other things. And like I think about my legacy, like what am I going to build? How am I going to build my legacy, or what am I going to leave for not just my own grandchild or future grandchildren? What is it that I want to leave in the earth? It just gets me in another place. I'm like, oh, I've got to get there. So it makes me go back to that place of being intentional,
Mm.
and the strength. I find the strength. Okay, let's. Okay, sometimes I give myself a moment to stay in that moment. Okay, then I'm like, okay, that's enough time there. Let's move forward. So I definitely and I don't like being stuck. I don't like being stagnant. It's
Mm.
and I even it may not be correct, but even if I can't figure something out, I'm like, okay, I got to get out of this place. So what's the answer? I'm looking for the answer. Let's make it happen.
It's
Um,
interesting. Taking
mhm.
action is a big part of that. You can't steer a parked car, right? So taking action is huge. Taking action in service of others can really help you. If you're feeling stuck and you're still processing your own ish, then
Yeah.
you look, and that's when you look outward to others and say, well, how can I help someone else? That can get you moving at
Yeah.
least. So you're
Hmm. Uh-oh, we're frozen again. Speaking of being stuck, Lisa's stuck right now. Her picture's stuck. Ah. So hopefully she'll make it back. But I've been stuck before, so I love this conversation because it's always good to find different ways, different tools. Here we
I'm
go.
back. I'm back. Sorry.
She's not stuck anymore.
Yeah, so I was stuck. It's like, yeah, it's like working with me here. It's like having visuals. Yeah, but this is good because it paused us for a moment to bring out the big one, which is knowing your why. And I alluded
I
it
love it.
to it before. I alluded it easy for me to say. I alluded to it before with this idea of, are you in alignment? Are you going in the right direction? Is this a
Mm,
sign? Is your procrastination or your feeling stuck a sign that it's time to pivot, to change, to do something? And coming back to your why and your purpose and exploring that and making sure that what you're trying to do matches with your values and with your why is very important, because sometimes if it doesn't, or like you said, when other people are giving you information or telling you what to do, or you're trying to do something that matches someone else's terms of success,
mhm.
that might not feel in alignment to you.
That's so
And
true.
right. And that will get you stuck because you're trying to follow somebody else's map. So,
And being all over the place is never a good thing. Um,
right.
I know growing up, and this is not bragging. I'm not bragging by any means, but I could do so many things until I didn't know. I wasted a lot of time because I didn't know which thing to work on, or
Right.
like okay. So you're like all over the place, and what is it? What's the saying? Master of
Oh, jack of all trades,
you
master of
know,
none.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
so, you really have. There has to be something mapped out for you, or that you definitely can get stuck in that sense. Because I can, especially when I was younger, I can remember I wasn't accomplishing any. Nothing was being done. I'm all over the place.
Well, yeah, and those are my people that I coach. I refer to them as multi-passionates.
Mm,
There's a TED talk on multipotentialites. It's really interesting. It's this
okay.
concept of of growing up as someone who is passionate about so many things and therefore quite good at so many things. And that happens a lot. Of course, I mean, go back to Da Vinci. He was what was considered a polymath.
Mm,
When you love to grow and to learn and to explore things and try things, and you're good at a number of things, you can miss the clarity as to where you're supposed to go. Also, too, society loves to tell us pick one thing and stick with it. And
yeah.
that's not right either. We have to find that balance. But I definitely have the multi-passionate entrepreneurs who are like, ooh, I want to do this now. Ooh, that's exciting. It's like, okay, bright, shiny objects are going to pull you in too many directions. And if you think about it, you think
Oh,
about arrows going in all different directions and energy being pulled, you're not going to have forward momentum,
true.
right? Whereas if you can
Absolutely.
keep it focused in one direction, then you'll have forward momentum. It's not that you can't get to each of these things. It's not that you can't explore and love and grow and do the things that excite you, but it's about, you use this word before, I'll bring it up again, being
Sure.
intentional, being
Yes.
intentional.
So listen,
Yeah.
what would you say to people who have a they have it in them to do something? We dream.
Hmm.
When you're younger, you dream a lot, and then sometimes those dreams get those fires kind of get dim
Yeah.
as you move on because maybe you had to make a turn in life or something else was more of a priority.
Hmm.
But for those, and I'll say those of us, and I'm working my way into what I want to do. But for those of us that really have, and it doesn't matter the age, but there's something that you really want to do. And I'm putting this in the stuck file right now because you can get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm this age. Well, maybe it's not relevant right now, but if it's something that you've always wanted to do, just speak to us. Speak to us. And this will be our last golden nugget for this time.
Okay.
I know there's so many people, and they don't either they don't have the courage, or someone has said something that has discouraged them, or for whatever reason. Talk to us.
All right. Here's my words of wisdom. Do it. I Okay. All of the things that you mentioned are really important to mention because they are often the things that block us, the hurdles. Oh, I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too that. Right? That again, that's that mind telling us, why would we do this? It's going to be too difficult. It's going to be too hard. We can't. We don't have time. All the things we tell ourselves. So please, first of all, go back to those excuses and get ready to debunk them if your why is strong enough. Why did you want to do that? Why do you love that? Why was there so much joy and interest? When you start to reflect back on the reason behind whatever it is that you wanted to do, and
Mhm.
when you understand that, when you get that clarity and that why is strong enough, it will overcome the hurdle of the how.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, and I see it all the time, and it's interesting because it's both mindset and project planning, where you're like, I'm here now and I want to do this thing,
Hmm.
and my word, that's a long distance, and I'm like, you're not taking it in one step. There's little steps and you can get closer. And then when you start to, get innovative and creative, that's what I do. That's what I coach. It's like, okay, so you want to get to there. What are the steps in between? Uh, I can remember one of my clients was like, I really, I want to be on stage with Oprah. And I'm like, okay, you've written a blog. There are some steps in between, write a blog, be on stage with Oprah, but it's doable, right? So yeah, I think in terms of, letting go of that how in terms of the big step or the big goal, and just knowing why you want to do it and
Hmm.
what it will mean. And then you can start to plot out the little steps in between, and you'll get closer and closer and closer. And sometimes you're not even meant to do that thing, but you will get something even better that you didn't know until you were on the path.
Wow, that's good stuff. That is so good stuff. And then the sense of fulfillment you get from accomplishing.
Yeah.
Just as we were talking about before we came on, those baby steps, um, they're so fulfilling,
Yeah.
especially when you have felt like, will I ever get this? Oh my God. Like I actually have myself on a timeline. Okay, by June, I want to be here. And then I'll start doing something, I'll do something. And then by September, I'll be here. So I have my timeline set up for my music even, and what I'm going to do to tweak different things. So I want to learn so much. I think it's just great when you can keep learning and applying and until you take all of the limits off. And that's why
Mm.
I don't want to be limited in any area of what I'm learning. And that's one of the reasons why I'm pushing. But I'm finding in my life, and I think I'm almost saying this now every week, so I know I'm there. And I say it to people, I say it on this platform. I'm finding that a lot of what I want to obtain and accomplish is so I can leave something so positive to the next generations, because I have a responsibility, and I have this burden on me that if I don't do certain things, I don't trust somebody else to do it because I'm supposed to do it. You know, I may not, maybe I can't reach them all, but if I get one, then that reach will reach another reach, which will reach another reach. So
And don't discount the ripple effect.
I do not. I do not. Well,
Beautiful.
Lisa, I am so grateful. And let me just say again, guys, Lisa has a podcast and I watch it on, I listen to it. And it's funny, I do watch it. It's not a picture or video, but I do. I'm watching the screen. There's nothing going on, but I look at the little green ball. But it is. I watch. I listen on Spotify. Is it on other platforms?
Almost everyone you can think of, wherever your
Awesome.
favorite place to listen to podcasts, you will find it. I mean, everything from Apple to Audible and all the stuff in between, Stitcher and Spotify and iHeartRadio and
Wonderful.
Podcast Addict, you name it. Yeah,
I
wherever you
love
want.
it.
Yeah.
Uh, please go and listen to Positively Living,
Yes.
and it's Lisa Zawrotny. It is wonderful.
Thank
You
you.
can listen to one a day, and I promise you, if you make it like a morning motivation or a daily motivation, you will not be disappointed. Lisa, I'm so grateful you came on today. It's always a joy, and I'm certain we'll stay connected for life because I love you, and I've never even met you in person, but you just have a wonderful heart, and I'm
You
so
can't
glad
get rid
you.
of me now, girl. It is absolutely my delight to be here, my privilege and my honor. And I love
Thank you.
talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We'll do it again, I'm certain.
Sounds
and
good.
you have a great rest of your day. And I hope that you can do something wonderful for yourself for your birthday this weekend, even if that is you time, just taking time for yourself.
I plan on it.
Do it, do it, do it.
Do it.
I will see you next time,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Well, guys, there you have it. Unstuck, how to get out of your own way. Yes, somebody put it in there. That's what Lisa said. Just do it. Um, it feels so good to, and I'm speaking out of my experience now, to have walked away from something that I really, really loved. Sometimes I felt discouraged about even trying again. But if you will just take those baby steps and then you start seeing the progress, it is so rewarding. It is so fulfilling. Uh, and then you start saying, I can't wait to do it again. So, anyway, guys, there you have it. I hope you have enjoyed. For the viewers that will watch the replay, thank you so much to all of the viewers. I am so very grateful that you come on while we wait and you take that time to share with me. On next week, we will be talking about mislabeling. We can mislabel things, especially about ourselves, and make ourselves feel bad. So if we're unstuck, we don't want to go backwards. So next week is going to be a powerful, powerful time with some friends to talk about mislabeling. And then on June 12th, I will be doing a 4-hour marathon right here on While We Wait. We will be raising money to feed the hungry, and I have a couple of organizations who that money will go to. So I hope you'll come. That's June 12th. I believe the time, that's a Saturday, and the time is from noon to 4 p.m. And I'll be putting out advertisement about that. We're also going to have a conversation before that marathon about the social injustices that's going on. We kind of want to come from a different angle. We want to talk about how we view things. How do we how do we see where we've come from, and what is our mindset in regards to even how we talk about slavery and what has been done. It's going to be a great conversation. It's going to be a very mature conversation. I'm certain it's going to be a very passionate conversation because we don't all always agree. But I just want to pull out some very interesting points about all that's going on now, and then the world that we're leaving for the next generation, and what can we do? How can we conquer? And what is our responsibility in this to make a better world? And how do we train our young people to live in a world such as today? My children always laugh, or we have a conversation because when Boys in the Hood came out, I actually took my children, and they weren't old enough to go, but I took them to the movies to watch Boys in the Hood, and I explained everything. And I also didn't let my son or my daughter dress certain kinds of ways. Um, a lot of things are our responsibility. And we have some things are sad, but we can't just look at the emotional part of it. It's our responsibility to prepare them for the world in which we live. So that conversation, I believe, is going to be in 2 weeks. You want to be on while we wait for this conversation. This is probably going to be a little heated, but I feel that it's necessary. Um, we want to discuss it. Opinions, everybody's got them, but we just want to have a discussion around a lot that's going on, and what is our part in it? What can we do? Because one person can make a difference. So anyway, here we are. Remember, be strong, be wise, keep enhancing your life. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you came by, and I'll see you next time. Keep enhancing your life. Empower, empower, empower. Do it, do it. Talk to you next time, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
I stay wise. I live in